that how to process the hazardous booking for the ocean freight.
For latest updates, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon.
Hello friends, welcome to JBS Academy. So today we are going to have a discussion on very basic and very initial subject when we start or any job somewhere into the freight forwarding industry. Majoritarily we have to invest very huge amount of time to have an understanding that how to process a booking when needed or required. So today we are going to have a brief introduction and detailed clarity that how to process the hazardous booking for the ocean freight. So first let us have the understanding what is hazardous shipment. Hazardous shipment is the shipment which is having hazardous content which need to be shipped with utmost care for the movement. Dangerous goods, abbreviated as DG, are substances that when transported are a risk of health, safety, property or the environment. Certain dangerous goods that pose risks even when not being transported, or like say if still it is being on an ideal situation as well. So to begin with, as we have understood and identified what exactly the hazardous shipment is, so definitely on a day-to-day job or on a practical situation, you will have the heads up from the shipper itself who is intent to float a rate request or booking request. They will be sharing the prerequisite stating that cargo is already hazardous, or they will also share the list of required documents as they are being regularly doing the shipment. Still, to map it out, these are the points which need to be considered before processing or executing the booking for hazardous shipment. So first, for hazardous shipment, for all carriers and all shipping line, they have their set of process for taking the approval from the principal and everything, because hazardous shipment, as we came to know that it requires a specific amount of the care, and we have to make sure it is not being exposed to any certain environment which is not feasible to them. So for hazardous shipment, all the carriers have the process to have an approval from their principal, or like say whichever port the cargo is to be transshipped, they have to take certain approval internally, for which the carriers has to get the hazardous shipment detail clarity. So to have the uniformity, all the carriers are following the set of DGD guidelines. So the shipper, or like say a forwarder, has to get the DGD certificate issued from the shipper with the credentials and everything available from the shipper. Based on that, the prerequisite for the rate request as well as the cargo approval, they have to share it to the shipping line. Based on the DGD format and the shipment detail along with the invoice and packing list, the shipper has to provide all the details to the NVOCC or the forwarder. Based on that, the forwarder has to initiate the request to the shipping line at the first place for the rate approval and everything, but obvious. But once the rates are in place, then as per the approved carrier and shipping line what have been chose by the forwarder and the shipper, based on that the booking has to be initiated. So to initiate the booking, as we discussed, first the DGD format, the DGD certificate as well as the shipment document like invoice, packing list, as well as the MSDS and DG declaration certificate and letter, everything has to be compiled and to be shared to the shipping line. So based on that, the shipping line will take the internal necessary approval from their principals and the transshipment points. If the shipping line is also having any tie-up with some other operating vessel owners, then accordingly the turnaround time would be considered. But minimum the has approval takes from 20 to 24 hours to 48 hours. So after following this process, once the DGD is approved, then the shipping line will ask forwarder to proceed and initiate with the booking request. So now for booking request, definitely nowadays everything is on online platform itself. So there are two possibilities to initiate the booking: either the carrier's own platform through which the booking can be placed, or on a safer side, to be on a uniformity way, there is option to process the booking request through INTTRA. So for INTTRA, definitely the forwarder or directly shipper has to enroll and have the credentials with ID, password and login credentials would be there. Based on that, they can go ahead for the booking request through INTTRA. Basis of the whatever the carrier selection, they have to go after it. So once the booking is initiated, as you would be able to see on a parallel screen, that once you go for the INTTRA login credentials, you will have this tabular available on your platform itself, through which you have to select the book option. Once you select the book option, there are multiple scroll down options would be available. You can also utilize the previous booking to safeguard and save your time. You can duplicate the booking, but just for an example, here we will initiate the new booking request. As it is highlighted on the screen itself, you can see from booking tabular, you can drag down the option. You have to select the new booking. Once you select the create booking request, which is definitely for the new booking requests from your side. So very initial, the set of requests would be appearing on the screen. As you can see, first you have to select which carrier you want to opt to process for the booking, and simply you can just drag down the options, and most of all the known carriers and NVOCCs are already liaised with INTTRA, and they get the booking request whichever initiated through INTTRA. So you can select the carrier option from here. Then definitely based on the rate approval what you have in place with the carrier, so the carrier must have issued the contract detail or service contract SQ number, or whatever you can have the identification number you might have received from the carrier, that you have to put here where it is highlighted. Also you have to update the booking office as well. For example, most of the hazardous desk offices would be centralized on their head office itself, might be somewhere in Delhi or Bombay. So as per the instruction given from the shipping line, you have to select the booking office as well. Then the parties detail you have to identify and share from the booking request level itself. You have to share the shipper detail. If at all the direct shipper BL is required, then you have to put the actual shipper, and if it is forwarder itself is acting as a shipper, then same you can simply copy paste the forwarder detail. You would automatically would be popped up here, and based on the credentials what you have already received. If you have the detail of consignee for hazardous shipment, definitely you would be having, because in DGD format itself, all the shipper, consignee, notify, all the details has to be updated. So from booking level itself, you need to have the clarity of the consignee detail as well. Then comes the reference column, where you can update the shipper reference column, like shipper invoice number or forwarder's reference number or the PO number, to identify, as there would be multiple bookings available on the portal, so it is easy to identify through this reference numbers. Then the tabular comes for the transport activity. So here you have to update port of loading, type of movement, and port of discharge, and the earliest departure date on which the cargo is intended to be moved. So here on the movement type, if you select the tabular, there would be multiple options below the movement type. One is the port to port, which is CY, which is the maximum, the type of movement would be used. Then the option would be CY door. Just for an example, if shipping line is taking the responsibility to move the cargo till the delivery location, for the door delivery responsibility is also lies with shipper or the shipping line, then the door movement has to be selected, and vice versa. So then you can also update the pre-carriage options as well, though it is not the mandatory and it is not vessel detail might be possible, it is not available or confirmed by the shipping line. You can leave it blank. So as I said earlier, there would be different movement types. In transport column, we need to choose the correct port pair and the vessel detail if at all available. For DG shipment, definitely you would be having the vessel approval prior from the shipping line, as the hazardous shipment is intended to be moved on specific vessel and specific transit itself, for which the approval is in place. So there are different movement types, as I mentioned earlier. It is CY. Then the door to CY. For example, origin from door pickup, the responsibility lies with shipping line and till the port of destination itself. Then the door to CY. Then if the origin and destination, door delivery and door pickup responsibility is also with shipping line, then the movement type would be door to door. Then the last option is port to door, which is CY to door. Place of receipt with earliest departure date has to be selected, as I said. And then place of delivery or POD in case of port to port shipment. You can also add pre-carriage details and vessel details for which the booking is being requested. So here as an example, I have selected the type of movement as CY, port to port. The place of carrier receipt is identified as Mundra, and the earliest departure date is available for 30th Jan. So as most of the carriers are already lined up their EDI sharing with INTTRA, so here based on the port pair we have selected, there are options readily available which you have to select for the booking request from your side, based on whatever approval you might have received from shipping line, stating that this has booking is having the approval for XYZ vessel itself. Then the next tabular comes the cargo detail. Here you have to update the actual cargo description as per the DGD certificate which have been issued from the shipper. You have to precisely mention the correct HS code, as well as the cargo gross weight and the total volume which is supposed to be executed. Then the next tabular comes the type of container. Here for an example, I have considered the 20-feet dry container. So as you can see in cargo movement itself, there is option shown as add hazardous detail. So if at all your booking is for hazardous, then you have to tab for that option. Then as you can see, the new tabular would be available on your screen to update all the the classification detail for the hazardous shipment. So mandatory details for hazardous shipments would be the UN code, IMO code, which class that cargo is falling, then the type of packaging, packaging group, and the proper shipping name, and the technical name if at all is different from the cargo description what you are expecting to be updated. So all the detail what you are seeing on the screen, that has to be updated ditto as per the DGT certificate what have been issued from the shipper itself. If anywhere, if you have any clarity or mismatching or any confusion, it is better to have a direct discussion and communicating with shipper to avoid any misdeclaration happening. Then the last option, reflecting for the booking request on your screen would be the payment details. So definitely, as per the agreed rate terms with the shipping line, you have to update as it is from your side. Here, the charge type, you have to select the basic freight. Once you select on that, there would be multiple drag down options available. So from which you have to select the freight option. Payment terms, definitely if you are going to make the payment at origin, then it has to be updated as prepaid. Then which party is going to make the payment? As you have updated the actual shipper as a shipper column here in booking request. So you have to update the correct freight paying party. If as a forwarder, like say you are placing a booking on behalf of your shipper, then you have to update the forwarder as a payer, and payment location also you can select. Further on that immediate next column would be available as comments and notification. It is highly recommended to update your billing address, your GST details, and the freight terms and everything in the comment section itself. As after the GST regime, it is mandatory to have the invoices issued on a correct party name and the GST party as well. Then you can have the multiple email IDs on which you want the notification, particularly for this booking request what you are making. And in last, tabular, where you can see the template name. If you are expected to have the multiple bookings for the same set of customer and multiple requests are going to be there, then you can simply have a template created and save it, which would be available in your booking tabular itself, and it will definitely save your time to place a multiple booking. So I hope based on this video clarity, you would be far more confident and you would have the clarity to go ahead and place the booking for hazardous shipment. Thank you.
For detailed learning of all logistics subjects, visit www.logiveda.com.